Okay, buying a used car. I thought this would be a good video for you guys to show you all the things that you should remember and look at within the first few seconds to decide if the car is good or not. Here's all the things to check. We're going to go through real quickly and show you each thing to check. And if you have a chance to look at it, like you're going to have in this case, we will show you what to look at under the hood. But if you're doing it at auction, you only have about 30 seconds to make your choice, and I'll show you that too. So we'll do both types of checks. If you were buying this at auction, it would mean that you would need to check it very, very quickly. So here we go. So first of all, overall look. So you're going to be looking around the car to see the overall look, maybe the condition of the tires. You know, that means they've taken care of it. Body panels, and notice if you at auction, you don't have time to crawl under the car, but you're going to look at the door sills and see if you see any rust peeking through. That's a good indication. Next thing you're going to do is put your head down and listen to the engine right next to the wheel well, and if you have time, run over and do the same on the other side, like so. Last check, walk to the back, looking at door panels as you go, and go to your tailpipe, which I'm not sure where it is. Usually they're sticking out. Here it is, and you're going to feel the tailpipe like this. If it's steady stream, it can tell you a lot. It means it's not missing, and it's running a little rich as it starts, but that's okay. I don't see anything on my hand either. So a lot of people do this with it. They will put their hand against it like this and make it that sound. That means the exhaust is solid and there's no holes in the exhaust. So that's your 30-second check at auction. More in-depth check if you're buying it not at auction, if you're buying it from a private person like we're doing here. So I would suggest laying down, which I've already done, and look under the sills of the car. 2, do all the checks that I just showed you for the 30-second check, and then you go under the hood. Of course, you can't do that at the auction, but you can do it here. So we're going to quickly go under the hood, and you're going to check what? What under the hood are you going to check? First, I would suggest squeezing a hose to see if there's pressure. It shouldn't be over-pressured, but there should be pressure in the hose, okay? Look at the overall condition. You're going to be looking at, this is your windshield washer fluid. Find your overflow for your antifreeze. And this should look the right color, okay? And another thing, if you just started the car and it's not overheated, pull the cap off and see if there's anything on the back side of the cap. This is important. So we've checked the water. The next thing to check is the oil. I've squeezed the hose. You know, that's a good indication of overheating problems or some sort of head gasket problems. Obviously the car started, so that's no real big deal. The dirt and dust on the engine, that's not a big deal either. The engine also sounds good, which we checked on the outside in the 30-second check, but I'm also putting my head right next to the valves. They sound good. 2 more checks. Oil. So you can open the oil fill and check to make sure there's no gunk in the oil fill, like it would look like chocolate milk. This is head gasket. And last, check the oil itself. So you shut the car off for that? Okay. You're going to pull the dipstick, which I'm doing. You're going to clean it. And then you're going to put it back in. This is a standard, so there's no automatic transmission. That would be something I would check if it wasn't a standard. Okay, I like to see this. This is very good, by the way. Can you see that? So the oil is actually a little bit, needs to add a little bit, like half a quart. But this is good. I probably would go ahead and add the half a quart, but this means that there's no leaking head gasket. The oil's clean and clear. May be time for an oil change sometime soon, but it's good. It's a good indication. Check here is the brake master cylinder. I'm not actually seeing the fluid, so that means it's really clear. That's good. And you can see the fluid in there. Hope that's coming out on camera. That's good. That's fine. Nice and clear brake master cylinder. This car is very lightly used. A little weirdness with getting the ignition to turn, but all you got to do is just rock the wheel and then let the ignition turn. Every car has their little idiosyncrasies. So, what to check in here? Start it. Put it in neutral. Okay, you're going to put it into gear, and you're just going to feel where the clutch engages.
Oh, what's up? Why?
I'll show you in a second. You just feel where the clutch engages. In this car, it engages a little bit high, so I know that eventually we're going to need to put a clutch in this. Check your wheel. Check your brakes that they don't fade down when you push your foot in. They don't fade. And that's pretty much it. You know, drive the car, of course, but that's pretty much it. So that's your 3-minute check. You can do that in 3-5 minutes if you are buying it from a private person. Okay, so there we are. Making this a really conclusive video, I wanted to tell you, of course you want to check your horn, your lights, and these kind of things, but those things are usually not too expensive if there's a bulb out or something. You know, the main thing, transmission, if it's an automatic, you're going to put it in gear first, you know, drive, and then back in reverse and back into park. It should engage rapidly. And the clutch, which is what this is, you want to put it in gear and you want to feel where it engages. Okay? All right, so that's pretty much all you would need to check inside here. Of course, we know the horn works, you know, and all the AC and all that works. These are things to check, of course, but it's not the main parts of the car, so I'm trying to give you the main parts. We wanted to tell, if you're training a student to drive, you're going to put your clutch in, obviously, first, second, and I used to do this when I was a kid. It should follow directly into third. Yeah. You don't need to manipulate it. It should follow directly into the next gear just by pushing back. Let's talk about how to check a clutch, which I've already checked this clutch and I know that it needs it. But look, what you want to do is once you get moving, you want to over gear it. So in other words, normally, you gotta pay attention to what's going on here. Normally, I'm in first gear right now, right? Now I'm in second, okay? And the speed I'm going is really good for second gear. To check the clutch, I want to over gear it to like fourth gear. And then when I get a clear road in front of me, I'll step on the gas and see if it spins out. See if it like revs up. It's not, by the way. I'm doing it. It's not. Is that good? Then also a good thing is to touch with your toe as you're doing that a slight bit down the clutch, and if it spins out right away, you know that your clutch is almost out.
Are we having a problem or not?
No, we're not. We're not. I'm touching it with my toe, and it's not. We're not slipping at all. No slipping. So we're good. That's how you check your clutch. Something to say here. This is Top Gear, and they're doing the Maserati Bi-Turbo. And one thing to consider is where you're buying your car, is there parts available? I had a Bi-Turbo, and I was always very worried about when it broke, what the hell would I do? You know, $2,000 for a turbo. All right, guys, I hope this helped. So this is your 30-second check and also your 5-minute check buying a used car.